What's up, everybody? It's Endless One Up. This is the Steam Deck, and you know what time it is. It's time to find out what's on deck. We're going to revisit Cyberpunk 2077. We got our Steam Dock. We're going to bring it up to the big board, and we're going to see what it does. I got this to 60 frames per second on the Steam Deck. That's pretty impressive. Let's see how good we can make it look by retaining those frames per second. Let's get to it. Alright, so before we launch into the game, we already know that the game is playable. There's actually even a setting inside of the actual graphics that says Steam Deck. But we're not going to do that right now. I want to show you what I have stuff set to on FSR here. So my FSR down here is turned on, and the sharpness is set to 5, and my frame rate limiter is off, okay? So there you go. And let's go ahead and launch into the game now. And I want to show you, there's not just graphic settings in here that you need to manipulate. If you want to get good frame rates and stuff, you got to do it essentially outside of the graphic settings and under the video settings. Okay, I'm in the game now. So I'm going to go to the settings, and we're going to go to video up here. And you want to turn VSync off. Maximum frames per second you want to turn on, and then you want to grab this value, and it probably is going to be sitting at 30, and you just want to drag it the whole ways up to 240. Just pew! I'd push this to full screen mode, leave it at 1280 by 720, and we're good to go. So if you wanted to, you could run the benchmark here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just load into my game because I'd rather. But before we do that, I do want to show you what the graphic settings are set to. I have them on custom. Texture quality is set to low. The AMD FX Super Resolution 2.1 is set to Ultra Performance. And then we have FSR 2.1 image sharpening the whole ways to the max. And as we scroll down here, you can see what else I have set. I have all that stuff turned off. Field of view is 80, motion blur off, contact shadows off. We've pretty much set everything to the lowest setting possible. Cascade shadows range, we could turn this down, and we could turn this down. So if we get everything, just drop it the whole ways down as far as it can go, and we hit apply. Let's go ahead and launch into the game here and see what we get for frames per second. Alright, while this is loading, let's bring up the telemetry. So click on that. Alright. So just ignore the frame rate in the loading menu here. That's makes no sense. Like, there's no point. Okay. So I am in the game now, and I am using like a little Bluetooth keyboard here. So we got some WASD action, and this looks kind of crappy. Oh, it doesn't want me to go that way. It's all glitchy. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Relic malfunction detected. This is not a good time to like jump into the game. My relic is malfunctioning. Here, let's load a different save up. So this is a really good test too. You're actually getting to see how long it takes to load a save file. This is one of those games that if you're not paying attention, it will say that, hey, hit the button to load in. So just remember that. You might have to hit the button. So look at the pixelation here. You can see some really janky looking stuff. But I'm in a car right now, and we're getting like 57, 49. We're not doing too bad. I mean, I could probably play this like this, but would I want to? Look at the tires on my car. This looks so bad. This looks so bad. Don't play the game like this. Don't do it. So, let's go in here, and we're going to change some of the other stuff. We're going to leave it on FSR. We're going to leave that on, but we're going to bump it up to just performance. We're going to only manipulate FSR right now. We're going to go from ultra performance the whole ways to quality and see what we get. All right, just going from ultra performance to performance made it look so much better. Like, my tires don't look like weird pixelated things. They're still not 100%. But you can see that just one bump in FSR can really improve the way the game looks. And this technology is getting better and better. So let's take it one step further. We're going to get back into the graphics settings. We're going to bump this to balanced and hit apply. And jump out of there and resume. It should look a little bit better. A little less pixelation. The frames per second are still about 50 frames per second, 49. I think this is playable. I think this is not disgustingly obnoxious. Like, Those pixels that we were seeing floating around my car before, that was not cool. But I think you could probably get away with playing the game just like this and getting 45, 40 frames per second. And there's some stuff you can do. Like in the actual Steam Deck menu, since we know that turning everything on as low as possible, we're pretty much not going to get anything above 60. So you could cap some stuff. You can come to your frame rate, go to your frame rate limiter, cap it to 60. Because you know you're not going to go any higher than that. And I do have FSR here on as well. I was trying to confirm or deny, like, when you turn it on in-game and have this on as well, which one overrides the other one? It's obviously not going to do double duty. And if you have it on, does it do double duty? Is it able to detect that? These are questions I actually posed to Steam, and I have not got those answers yet. If anybody from Steam watches this video, like Lawrence, let me know, man. But yeah, I would play the game like this. I don't think it's a bad setup. Let's get that off the screen. And so we have some other settings you can manipulate now. So we know we're like, oh, we're not getting more than 60 frames per second. So under our video settings, we can bump this back down because it doesn't need to be 240. We're never going to reach 240. So we could probably set it around 60 frames per second. And that would be fine. You know, and we're going to apply that. And so what that's going to do is it's not going to try to go above that. So I have yet to really see if this has ever really given me a performance gain by capping things. I will say I did see a performance gain once when I capped a refresh rate and the frame rate, but that's not allowing me to do that here. So it looks like we can get the game to around 50 frames per second, 60 frames per second, depending on how crappy you want it to look. But let's see how many frames per second we can get with making it look a little bit better. Let's leave the FSR on to quality. Quality is going to make it look the best. So let's see how many frames per second we can get with that. Now again, we've lost some of the pixelation on my tires, which is great because that was pretty bad. This poor door, it really needs to learn how to just shut the door. We're getting like 42, 43, 44. So this is playable like this. I mean, we're getting a decent 44 frames per second, 47. And if the action is not really happening and you're just walking through the city, you know, you can essentially get more frame rates then as well, too. One thing to keep in mind, this game does allow you to do a handful of things that don't have anything to do with graphics settings that can give you a performance gain. So there are the ability to add or reduce the number of pedestrians on the street, and just doing that, like this crowd density, having that on low will help you. Just things like that. Simple things like that do add up if you've turned them all off. So my suggestion is, if you want to get this above 40 frames per second, start out with the quality mode and turn everything down to the lowest setting, and then start bumping things up. And that's what we're going to do right now. First thing I'm going to do is bump this to auto, because I wanted to try to just see how well it does on its own. We're going to go ahead and jump back into the game here. We're going to take our car down the street. We're sitting at 45, 46, 48, 45, 41 frames per second. So on auto, it seems to do pretty well, but when you're on auto, it might jump down to give you more performance, because if it's trying to give you always 40 frames per second, you might get a quality hit with the actual textures and stuff. You might get really pixelation and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty cool. The FSR 2.0 is pretty magical. I don't know if you saw, but when I was in a low lighting situation when there wasn't a lot of colors, I was getting 60 frames per second. And that's something you have to keep in mind. Right here, there's a lot of different colors on the screen. There's things going on. So that's going to take into consideration. Whereas if I was in a dark alleyway and there's not a lot of stuff going on, I might get a frame bump. So yeah, check out Cyberpunk. You can see for yourself, we're getting pretty good frame rates. I'm pretty impressed by this. I think the FSR and DLSS is the future of everything here. Because think about it. If you're able to take a device and process a smaller image and then upscale it, but have the processing power only be that smaller image, that is super duper awesome and impressive. Well, hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about FSR. I hope you enjoyed this like revisit. But hey, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. That's Cyberpunk on the Steam Deck with FSR 2.1. You can see we're getting anywhere from 40 to 60 frames per second, depending on what we're doing in the game. Simply just putting everything down onto low and then turning FSR on does give us a nice frame bump. So if you're looking for a couple more frames, go turn that bad boy on. Remember, performance is going to make it look a little janky, where if you put it on to quality and make it look a little nicer, and you're only going to lose a couple frames. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Peace. Hello. You know what time it is. It's time to find out what's on deck. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? It's Endless Fun Up. You know what time it is. Yeah, it's that time. It's the time of the world to fall in my palms of my hands. Okay. Motorboating son of a bitch. What's going on, everybody? It's Endless One Up, and this is not Endless One Up. This is a Steam Deck, mother. What's going on, everybody? It's Endless One Up. No, it's not. That's a Steam Deck. Shut the. Oh. What's going on, everybody?